It's Monday, August the 23rd, King of the Mountain State Show. I'm Chase Hill. This week, we're going to be bringing in a lot of guests who are actually competing and fighting this Saturday. The event, King of the Mountain State Round 2, is this Saturday in Huntington, West Virginia. We're down to 8 heavyweights left. We'll be crowning the 2021 champ soon. We're going to be introducing the light heavyweights. There's 8 of those guys. My guest today is one of those light heavyweights. He comes from a really diverse athletic background. He's got some great stories. I'm looking forward to hearing about some outside the box stuff he's doing in the sports world. Boxing is relatively new to him. He looks really good so far. He's always in great shape. I look forward to hearing some of this stuff. Out of Lexington, Kentucky, Brendan the Ninja Kelly.
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Glad you're here. So before we get started, like always, first time on the show, I want you to tell me a little bit about Brendan Kelly before we start talking about the Ninja. Tell me where you're at and some stuff you got going on there at home.
Yeah, so I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. I've basically been here my whole life. Only my immediate family lives here, but I opened up a business a year ago, and I've kind of made this my home. Lexington is a good enough city where it's like big enough you can do whatever you want, small enough you don't put up with big city crap. So it's a kind of good little diverse area.
And it's a big sports city, whether it's horse racing, basketball, whatever. It's always something. I grew up a big Kentucky Wildcat basketball fan. I remember sitting on the arm of my chair when Christian Laettner hit the shot. Here 30 years later, I'm living in Ponte Vedra Beach. My brother's nephew is like 6'1" in the 8th grade, and his basketball coach is Christian Laettner. And I'm like, Cliff, I don't know how I feel about this. I know it's great coaching, but so before you got into boxing, I know you did everything athletic wise, but you had a pretty big time football career. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I played football and ran track in college. I originally played at University of Kentucky. I tore my knee. And then I ended up transferring, finishing out down south. And originally I played wide receiver at UK. And then when I transferred, the team I went to didn't really throw the ball as much. So I switched to safety. I became a All-American safety and kick return, punt returner. And then I was a 800 specialist in track. So I was All-American in the half mile as well. Best time for the half mile was a 149.2. And I had a couple pro tryouts after for football. Made it to the final cut in Philadelphia, just never got called back. But after a while, I started realizing I was training with a bunch of pros and stuff. And you start talking to some of the ones that have like Hall of Famers and stuff been in the game for a while. And they're like, in all honesty, it's just who gets a shot. There's plenty of people that are actually good enough to actually play in the NFL, but it's who gets the opportunity and who gets the shot. And being that I didn't have an agent, I started noticing when I was going to these tryouts, these people that I was dogging in the tryouts were getting better looks at me because the people already knew about them coming in. And I just started kind of like realizing as things went, like, it's just going to be an uphill battle for years just trying to get in. The more you're out of the game, less likely people are to take a chance on you because what have you done for me lately is pretty much the constant mindset in that.
Well, it's quite an accomplishment just to get the opportunity to be there. Very few people get to say that, to even try out for an NFL team. But like you said, I'm sure your 40 time, your strength training, different stuff was right on par with the other guys. It's kind of how the ball bounces. I know they have relationships with agents and they like to keep the agents happy as a negotiation tool and that kind of stuff. But that's pretty cool, to make it all the way to actually know what it's like to practice and try out with these guys. Another thing, man, really exciting. Like I haven't met anyone that's ever competed in something like American Ninja Warrior. I imagine that's where your fight name, the Ninja, comes from. Tell me about the experience. I think you made it all the way to Las Vegas with this. You've been on there several times. Tell me about the American Ninja Warrior thing.
Yeah, so Ninja is one of my favorite sports because it humbles everyone. Like anybody that's weight room strong, CrossFit, blah, 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 the man or whatever, anytime they come in, they suck at everything because it's complete control of your body. So it's how fit you are for yourself. I got into Ninja Warrior my sophomore year of college because I actually had an injury where I ended up losing an entire muscle on my leg. They told me I'd never be able to play sports again. Well, I came back in just a month and a half and then ran my first track race and became All-American later. And then my dad was actually the first, he submitted me for the show and without me even knowing. And they were like, oh, hell yeah, we'd love to have him.
Right.
And so first season on, I was sophomore in college and made all the way to finals in Vegas and just kept going on. I've done it 5 times now. It's the fun way to work out. So that's why I created the gym. My goal in life was always to just make a living working out and having fun. So I tried to become the best at that and then turned into something that I can give to other people and help guide them as well.
You know, one thing about that contest is I'm a chiropractor. So one of the things that we always talked about was like the function of the body. And whenever you're bench pressing, you know, how does that translate into something else? When you're doing, you know, whatever exercise, how does it translate into functional movement? Something like that competition, that really gives you a chance to put everything together and really, you know, that's a whole nother skill level to be able to take everything you've done and put it together.
Oh yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So that's one thing I explain to people that are, I'm like, listen, if you want your kid to get instant body balance, control, functional strength, and body relative strength, it's ninja, and it's easy. It's all instant gratification because you have to. Your goals are fun. Like, can I swing from this jump and grab this thing over here, or you know? And so, like, once you get it, you're hyped.
Right.
Once you finally get up that warp wall, boom, instant gratification. So it's a continuous feed. Yeah, I mean, it's basically you get to be a stunt double, daredevil for the day without any real consequences. But the hardest part, what people don't really understand is ninja, you have to be perfect. Like, you mess up once, you're done for a whole year. So that's the thing is, like, I had one season where I broke my foot on the show on the second obstacle, made it all the way to the 5th, and my toe literally tapped this much water and I got eliminated. And it was
and that's a year worth of work going into that, you know, and it's an inch away. But
yeah.
So I think your football, man, the tryouts with the NFL, super interesting. The ninja stuff, super interesting. But this one takes the cake. Like, this is the one that, you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna give you a chance to really break it down because you explained it well to me earlier. Is you have a world record, and it's an impressive one. Like, I don't know anybody else that has a world record, and this one's a good one. You got to tell the story. Tell me what you did to become a world record holder.
Yeah. So my life, I've been overlooked a ton because of my size. I'm 5'9", 160 normally. And so my freshman year of high school, I was 5'2", 97 pounds. Like I said, I've always been overlooked. And I started realizing that too, like as I was trying out for pros, things like that. And I was just like, screw this. I'm just going to show people I can do whatever the hell I want. And so I started looking at these goals and stuff, and I'm like, all right, I know what I'm good at. Anything athletic, if you put an effort-based goal behind it, that just means I have to put in the work required behind that goal to reach it. So each one of my goals, I now train for a year pretty much to capture it. And so I was originally going to break my first world record, was going to be most chin-ups in 24 hours. And I called my coach from college, and he is a physiology like master's. And so I was trying to, you know, break it down like, hey, when's the best time to intake stuff, blah, 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 just trying to break it down all scientifically. He's like, man, why are you going for such a hard one to begin with? And he was my track coach too. And so he's like, why don't you look up world's fastest mile ran backwards? And I was like, okay. And I looked up the record. It was right under 6. And I was like, all right, I'll go out and run a quarter mile tomorrow backwards and see what it feels like. Ran a quarter mile backwards, and it's hard as hell just to run 1 quarter mile backwards. And I was like, I kept the pace, you know, I can do it. So I set the goal at that point. My big thing is whenever I set a goal, I put it out there for everyone to see, because then I'm held accountable. So I'm like, hey, on April 7th, I'm going to go to my old college track meet, and I'm going to break the world record for the fastest mile ran backwards. So train, you know, a lot of,
let me ask you this. When you decide that you're going to be running backwards, I know from an anatomy standpoint and all that stuff, everything's backwards. So when you start training for this, Like, do you start doing certain exercises backwards? Do you start hitting different muscle groups? How does that work?
Yeah, so you have to really improve the quads. Like, it's just a quad overload. You have to get used to changing your steps in the middle, because if you stay on your toes too long or you stride, it'll wear different parts of the quad out. If you stay too low, it burns more. Like, it's very play trial and error. Like, that was the whole thing. I mean, I was doing this all by myself. So what I'd pretty much do is I'd run 2 miles backwards every day on the treadmill at 9-minute pace, get the cardio built up for it. And then I would emulate my forward track workouts, but backwards. So like, I would hit goal times off of what I would have done forward. Like, my fastest forward mile is 4:08. And so like, I would base my workouts, what I did running forward, and pretty much emulate that going backwards. And you have to do it in a track too. So like, I had to go full in a circle backwards. So you have to learn to look at lines, see where you are. Each track's different too. Some have sharper curves, while some will be wider curves. Wider curves are meant to actually go faster because you don't have to hug curve as much. So it's like, you have to go to your track that you're going to run it as well and get it down. And so
what happens when people walk into the gym and they look over and this guy's on the treadmill and he's running backwards?
Yeah. So that literally happened. That's how I met some of my really good friends now that are some of my big supporters and stuff. At first, they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, is he, a lot of people just think it's like you're trying to get attention or something to that extent. And then once they dig in deep, then they realize, oh, okay, this guy's actually doing something pretty damn cool. And so that's kind of the message behind it. I try to break these world's records that people perceive to be impossible to show you can do anything you want, as long as you're willing to put in that time and effort behind the goal that you're trying to acquire.
And what you said about the 99%, you said 99. You tell me about that.
Yeah. So 99% of people in the world can't actually run a mile forward in under 6 minutes. So my goal was to do it in under 6 minutes. I ended up running in 5:53.24 and breaking it. But that was one of the ones I already knew I was going to break. Like you go into it knowing like, all right, I'm good enough to do it. Now I just got to go and execute. So my next world record that I'm about to break is one that things can happen in, because like I could run into injury or, something, my hands fall apart. Next record I'm going for is the most chin-ups in 24 hours. Current world record is 5,340. My goal is 7,000. I'll be breaking that in October with Barstool Sports at their headquarters up in New York City. 24-hour live event for it. Big Cat, as of now, is supposed to be running it. So it'd be good. I'm trying to, I broke my first one for free. Didn't get any sponsors, anything. It's hard to get sponsors when you're doing something crazy and people don't know yet. So I was like, that was part of breaking the first one. Like, hey, this is my, hey, I can do this crap. Like this is already setting the bar thing. And then I've already done 3,300 pull-ups in just 8 hours and stuff. So I have that as well. My goal for this one is to pretty much do 4,800 in the first 12, average 400 per hour, do 100 per 15 minutes is how I break it down. Average about 100 per 9 minutes, 30 seconds to 10 minutes, 30 seconds. And then I take about 4.5 minutes rest, let things recover, then start my next 100 and stuff. And I try to keep on a pace for that. And then constantly intaking fluids, protein, BCAAs, amino acids, anything to replenish what I'm taking out. Like when I did the 3,300, I lost 7 pounds in the process of 8 hours. You just sweat the whole time. And all I was doing was intaking liquids, cashews, peanuts, protein bars, stuff to that extent. I did pull-ups 8 hours straight, never pissed and stuff. So it's like, it's interesting. You start finding out all these things. What's the best way to do it? People are like, oh, well, yeah, you just got to do 10 pull-ups and rest a minute. That's a horrible idea. You got to find your lactic acid threshold, and you have to improve upon that. So what I do is I do about 5 chin-ups every 25 seconds. Once that 5 starts getting to the point where that 5th rep, I start feeling a little bit, I'll bump it down to 4. Then once I start feeling that, I'll go 4, then 3, then 4, then 3, because I have to average 6.6 per minute to do 400 per hour. And so if I'm averaging 7, then I'm ahead. And my goal, again, halfway through a 24-hour event, you have to be at least 60% done with it to break it, is the presumed equation. But I realistically should be able to get at least 4,500 through 12 hours. And then I only have 800 for 12 more hours. But big goal is to actually get 6,250. Once I do that, it's 1,000,000 pounds in a day for what I weigh. And when you do that, it kind of like unlocks things for you, sets bars, you know, the 1,000,000 pound man, you know, because like Mr. 3,000, blah, 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 stuff like that. It's kind of how you get an identity, kind of how David Goggins, he made the pull-up world record famous. And when he broke it was 4,321 and stuff like that. Now that's like anybody that's training for this stuff can pretty much do it in 12 hours. It's just someone's got to keep setting the bar. So my goal is to not only break the record, but put it at a limit to where it's going to take someone extra special to break mine and stuff.
Well, I know there's a lot of science that you've did your research with your own body as well as what others have done to get to this point. And I know it's a physical contest, but I imagine the mental approach to something like this, when you start to hit 3,500, 4,500 pull-ups, I imagine that plays as much of a factor as anything.
Yeah, so that's one of the cool things about it too. It's very mentally taxing, especially just the overall continuousness of it. You know, by 500, 600 in, your wings, like your lats, are just constantly pumped. My pinky's actually bruised from having the sheer weight be held every time, and stuff like that. So your hands are like the super important thing. If you get your hands 1,000, like if you get a problem 1,000 in, like you're screwed.
Right.
So
now, when is that you're going to try that?
No official date yet. October is what we're going with. Supposed to talk to them next week and get an official lockdown date. But as of now, I just wanted to lock down October with them, and so I can start promoting it on my end.
But yeah, let us know whenever you know, and we'll try to help make sure everybody gets a chance to tune in and watch that. Now, we talked about mental toughness and stuff, which is a big part of the boxing game. I know you've not been necessarily boxing very long. Tell me about how you get started and what you've accomplished so far in the boxing.
Okay, so Barstool Sports came to my hometown in Lexington. Someone tagged me as a joke, and I was like, I didn't really know what Barstool was at that time either. And I'm not a big social media guy. Like I'm a doer and stuff. But I saw that they had like 8 million followers and stuff, and I was like, all right, let's do it. So like my background is, I was like, you know, I'm athletic. I've watched the people that were in it, and I was like, I mean, I should still be able to win, even though I don't know much about boxing. I trained a little bit, you know, and the first time you go in, you're like, oh yeah, I trained enough. All that goes out the window. My first fight was complete horrible, other than the fact that I landed a backflip in the middle of the fight, became the first person to backflip in the middle of the fight. So that kind of helped me get on the scene with them. Again, what I try to do is lead by action and stuff. I don't fear failure. I fear being in the same exact place next year as I am today. So I knew landing a backflip would have a chance to promote myself and hopefully open doors, and it did. And then I started really falling in love with boxing because I'm a true competitor. And thing about football and stuff, like I was normally the best guy on the field, but by my senior year, everyone would scout me and they would take me out of the game by not throwing to my side, not doing stuff to that extent. And it got really annoying. Boxing, there's nothing more fun to me than having the same exact goal as someone and then beating the living shit out of them. Right. Like that to me is the ultimate competitor mentality. I treat mine more like the Coliseum. Like I'm in there to like deliver pain. Like I don't care. I'm not there to look pretty. Like I'm not going to look the prettiest in this next match thing either. Like I'm there to get the job done. You got to realize this is an entertainment business as well. You want to sit there, pick back and look pretty and get your win. That's cool. But Floyd Mayweather has already shown you can be undefeated and people don't want to watch you box and stuff like that. I'll go in there and you can rock me. I'm still keep coming. Like the way you beat me, you're going to knock me out cold. Whether you're going all the full 3 rounds or whatever it is and stuff. And so, I really fell in love with it because of that. It's been interesting learning what you have to like I only think about 2 or 3 things while I go into fights now. Cause one of them might be like, all right, got to keep that right at my chin. got to keep it whole time, blah, 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 isn't that? Because when these fights that are shorter rounds and stuff like that, you don't have much time to make corrections and stuff. So like, it's always adaptive and learning. And that ring presence is a big difference. Like once you're not really, until you have about three fights, you don't really understand any bit of being in the boxing ring at all.
Well, and as much as you know about conditioning and cardio and that kind of stuff, boxing is a next level type of cardio, because if you're on the treadmill, even running backwards, it's very difficult. But if somebody's punching you in the face while you're trying to run on the treadmill, it becomes really difficult. And I've growing up in team sports, football, different stuff like that. I saw the same thing where you could be schemed out of a game. Whereas in boxing, you have the beauty of it. You still have a team because you got guys in your corner, people you train with, people to talk about with, to get prepared. But at the end of the day, you are going to get the ball, if you will. It is going to be you that ends up deciding who wins and loses, that kind of stuff. I know you did a little bit. We had our lottery draft last night. You saw your matchup. You've got Arthur Brown. He's had good career as a boxer so far. I know you did your homework with him. I believe he's 14-0 with the Street Beefs. He's won a semi-pro contest here in West Virginia. Looks like the real deal as far as boxing. Both of you guys, when we drew those out, I thought, well, there's a great fight. Tell me a little bit about what you've learned about Arthur and moving forward into that fight.
Yeah, Arthur, he's talented. He's worked his way up in the Street Beefs thing. Like you said, he's 14-0 from what I know as well. And then he won that competition and stuff. He's got a great jab, and then his right is sneakily powerful from what I've watched. So he's a great down the middle striker. He doesn't move much from what I've seen. He's more someone that likes to pick and choose his shots and stuff, but he does well at it. So if you're good at what you do, you can do stuff. I think it'll be one of the better first round fights. Again, I don't know everyone in it and stuff, but he was one of the ones I was thinking I'd have to run into eventually at some point anyways. I think his last one, he was, from what I've seen, he was 6 foot 182. I'm gonna be 5'9", 165 coming in. I think I still have more power than him. But he's gonna have reach, and he's gonna have more. He's very good ringmanship and stuff. So it's gonna be a very interesting matchup. I like it. It's gonna be a true test as well. And so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's a great fight. I think you've got him beat so far on mustache. So that's one thing going in, you have already. Tell me this. I want to give you a chance to talk about it. I see on Facebook you get good fan support. People are really behind you, all the different things you've did, different groups of people you've been tied to. One of those groups of people is you do own a gym there, and it is relatively kind of new. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing at your own home gym there, the one that you own.
Yeah, so I have a gym. It's called Ultimate Ninjas in Lexington, Kentucky. I actually just added a boxing ring in a month ago. I'm starting to get to the point where we're going to have USA boxing matches in there as well. Try to kind of do as well a thing a little bit like Street Beefs does, as guns down, gloves up, kind of starting as a program for kids that just need an outlet and stuff. But it's a 10,000 square foot Ninja Warrior gym. About 6,000 square feet is dedicated to strictly ninja stuff. Then you have about 2,000 square feet more towards boxing and like working out, and then like party room stuff and things like to that extent. So simply, I offer open gyms, personal training, birthday parties, camps, pretty much anything under the sun, anything you want to get better at. So I train anybody for anything. That's my thing, is I kind of want to show people I can do anything athletically that I want, and I can also get you there. I'm very good at breaking down movements, and if you can't do something yet, easily being able to watch and put a formula together of you being able to get there and stuff. So I've had some really been working with some really fun ones in the sense too of people that started at ground zero. I had a mom that she wanted to get healthy enough to play with her kids and stuff. She's never been able to pull up. Today she did 3 actually and stuff. And so It's been fun giving, like watching other people grow too is a rewarding sense as well. And that's the one thing that's been pretty fun with the boxing community in West Virginia. I feel like a lot of times the stuff I go to, I'm almost like at home and stuff, because the main thing I learned through Ninja Warrior and stuff, network, make connections, make friends with all the background people, blah, blah, blah. Those are the ones that are actually more important than the face of that you see and stuff, because those are the ones that are doing the work to get the job done and stuff. And so I've just networked a lot. I got a lot of support from gym owners and stuff in West Virginia, and people keep asking me like, man, how do you get all these fights? Well, I'm like, people keep reaching out to me and stuff. And it's because you got to be personable with people. Like, my rule in life is if you're cool, you're cool. And I'll treat you with all utmost respect. If you want to be a douche, all right, see you. Like, and that's it. Like, so,
well, I've been in the boxing game for a little over a decade. And one thing that I've learned, and is a real hard line that I draw in the sand, is when guys they're not professionals, even as an amateur. If they're not classy, if they don't show up, if they don't do the things they say they're going to do, when I've done my part, we tend to kind of really gravitate toward the guys who do show up and they are in shape and they do try hard, win or lose, whatever happens. They put on a show for the fans. It's exciting. So that says a lot about you. Whenever you have the fan support and people continue to reach out to you, it's not just the fact that you're in shape and you're talented, but it's the way in which you conduct your business and yourself. So that's good. I'm thankful that you're a part of this event. I think it's going to be really awesome. The event is this Saturday. Tickets are on sale now online at kingofwv.ticketleap.com. There's links to that on our Facebook page. It's going to be live stream pay-per-view at combatsportsnow.com. If you purchase the pay-per-view, you'll get an HD copy of it. You'll have access to the HD copy to replay as much as you want. We'll be posting some highlights and stuff, but for the full card, you'll need, people need to get that. I know Huntington is a place you fought before, so it's not necessarily, new. I hope you all the success in the world. I think you and you and Arthur have a big time matchup right in the first round. Should be exciting. We'll have the bracket out here in the next couple of days so you can see who would be in the second round or in the finals, that kind of stuff. We'll analyze that. But again, man, thanks for taking time and sitting down and telling me some of your stories. Good luck on your world record. If I don't get a chance to talk to you, between now and then, that sounds really exciting. We'll be tuned in to watch that. Last thing before we go, getting ready for this boxing match. Any sparring partners, anybody helping you, give them a shout out, and then we'll wrap things up.
Yeah. Do you know who BJ Johnson is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so he trains me. He's at my gym and stuff. So he's one of the people that can help me get the boxing ring in. And so I've been working with him for the last couple of weeks, cleaning some stuff up. And then
now, does he do some work with USA Boxing?
That's a different guy. That's Sarge, who's he's the USA Boxer guy. He's been in the game for a hot minute, but BJ's the guy I've been working with a little bit more because, again, from the start, people have been trying to teach me more boxing skills when I wasn't trying to box at first. I was trying to brawl, and I didn't really want to learn boxing because I wanted, again, to fight a style that I wanted to fight and be more of a show and stuff. And so BJ, knowing his background and stuff, I mean, I sparred him the other day, and it was the first time I ever got rocked. Yeah, uppercut straight to the face, and I took that step back. But it's just one of those things. He's huge now too. He's like 190. It's solid. Yeah. So it's been fun. He's constantly upped his game. He stayed in good shape, but he's just injury plagued. So he's been trying to fight that stuff. And then I get tips and pointers from people like Kenny and stuff to that extent. And then Mike and all of them. So I'll send them stuff. I'll talk to them every once in a while. They'll give me pointers. But other than that, I really actually just train myself. I'm really good at breaking down movements and stuff. And I film myself. That's the biggest thing is I film myself. I'm like, all right, well, my leg didn't turn enough there. My hand wasn't here. Because I know what to look for now. So it's a little bit different. Like at first I was blind. I was just coaching myself and just trying to throw hard. But now that I know what to look for more, I video taped myself today, and I was talking to him. I was like, man, I've gotten 10 times better since my first fight. Like, not even kidding. And Kenny was saying the same thing. So it'll be really interesting. I joined this weight class, even though it's out of my weight class, to test myself. I feel like I don't think anyone in my actual weight class can handle me. So I wanted to step up and go against some guys that could actually rock me and, like, you know, put me in an area that I haven't been before.
Maybe if things go your way this time as a light heavyweight, maybe next year we'll drop down, do some middleweight stuff, and you'll be our first ever 2-time king of the Mountain States, or two weight class king of the Mountain State.
I'll definitely do that.
And we might have to get a pull-up bar set up somewhere. So, all right. Well, hey, man, Brandon, thanks for sitting down, taking time with me, man. You got a great story, great background. I can't wait to see you put it together here in the boxing ring for us. 5-6 days away this Saturday night. So I guess I'll see you soon, Huntington, West Virginia.
Heck yeah, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.